She introduced herself to the jury here by saying that Sean Combs had sexually assaulted her.
She testified that she was a rape victim.
The first time she met Combs, she said he was in his underwear.
What happens when a celebrity's name holds enough power to allegedly bring a police investigation to a halt? In this gripping courtroom drama, music mogul Diddy faces not only serious accusations of rape, but also explosive claims that his influence runs deep within law enforcement. Stay with us as we uncover the chilling testimony of a former assistant, revelations that left the courtroom in shock.
I have no idea how it's possible, and I'm sure Mia is probably, panicking in this moment in time. Like, are people stalking her on the internet, trying to figure out her identity? She testified that she was a rape victim, essentially. There's rape shield laws that exist to try to protect people in her position. And so this is really getting very nerve-wracking probably for her and just absurd for the courtroom.
Yeah, this testimony today was from a woman who was testifying under the name Mia. The judge said this is a pseudonym and that no one was to record her. She was, they wanted to keep her anonymity. It was the deal with the prosecution. But she was talking about, she is a former assistant of Diddy's, and talked about a 2010 incident where Diddy and Cassie found out that Prince was having this private house party. Diddy didn't want to go. He was staying home and said that Cassie should not go. But Cassie was at home with Mia, and they talked about it and decided they were going to go. So they went to the party. She says they were having a great time, watching Prince perform on a dining room table. And then suddenly she saw Diddy walk in and was terrified, and she grabbed Cassie. She said they ran out of the party. They ran across the street. They are hiding in a wooded area behind some bushes. But Diddy found them and grabbed Cassie, she said, and started to assault her when suddenly one of Prince's security guards ran over there and had to pull Diddy off of Cassie, separate them, and that was the end of the violence for that particular evening. But the way she described it on the stand, it really sounded like a movie playing out, and you could really envision what was happening that night in 2010.
Who is the woman known only as Mia, and why did her testimony shake the courtroom to its core? Hidden behind a pseudonym for her protection, Mia served as Sean Diddy Combs' assistant for 8 years, a role she described as anything but ordinary. For nearly a decade, Mia had a front-row seat to one of the most glamorous and high-pressure worlds imaginable. But according to her, behind the glitz was a dark reality that no one saw. Taking the stand, Mia testified that working for Diddy wasn't just demanding, and it was all-consuming. "My life became his life," she told the court. Her responsibilities, she explained, went far beyond scheduling meetings or booking travel. She was expected to guard his image at all costs, a duty that, she alleged, included lying, intimidating others, and at times covering up behavior that left her deeply shaken. Her description of Diddy's explosive temper was chilling. She recounted incidents where his anger erupted into loud, chaotic tirades, often directed at those closest to him. As she spoke, a heavy tension settled over the courtroom. It was clear. The jury wasn't simply hearing about a difficult celebrity boss. They were being given a glimpse into a world ruled by fear and control. One word defined Mia's testimony: control. She painted a vivid picture of how Diddy's reach extended into every corner of her life. One moment stood out, a day when she says he accused her of talking too long to a guest at an event. What followed, according to Mia, was a verbal onslaught so intense that her voice trembled just recalling it. She claimed personal boundaries did not exist in Diddy's employment. Even in her most private moments, she said she wasn't free, alleging that he would call or track her at odd hours, reinforcing his dominance and leaving her in a constant state of anxiety. Experts on workplace abuse note that such power dynamics can make it nearly impossible for victims to speak out, a fact Mia's story laid bare. Testifying against someone as powerful as Diddy is no small decision. The courtroom felt the weight of that choice as Mia fought back tears, describing how difficult it was to bring the truth into the light. Her courage was undeniable, and part of what made her words so devastating. Silence fell as she began to shift from what she witnessed to what she personally endured. At that moment, the mood in the courtroom changed. A sense of dread crept in, as if everyone realized they were about to hear something far more disturbing than they were prepared for. Then Mia revealed the deeply personal allegations that would not only grip the jury, but send shockwaves far beyond the courtroom.
And she introduced herself to the jury here by saying that Sean Combs had sexually assaulted her. She hasn't testified about it yet. Instead, she's talking about times she said she witnessed violence against Cassie Ventura, the time she said Combs slammed her head against the bed and drew blood and left a gash in Cassie Ventura's eyebrow. The time they attended a party against Combs' wishes at Prince's house, when they danced on plexiglass covering the pool Prince performed, but then Combs arrived, chased them down, and was about to attack Cassie when she said Prince's security intervened. She also was woman Mia gave the jury a sense of what it was like to be his personal assistant.
What I find more troubling and less likely is if this video is being sent by random people on the internet, and that's what we want to proffer as evidence in this criminal trial. I find that hard to be admitted. They can track the video from one person, confirm the identity of the person, then it can be used for a piece of evidence that's different. But random people on the internet sending videos, that opens the door to a can of worms.
Well, I mean, Tyler, they would have to authenticate it, make sure it's real, and couldn't they theoretically be able to use it?
They could theoretically be able to use it, but it seems like they're trying to use it right now while they're is going to get put back on the stand. I haven't heard of any witness to authenticate the video yet. They're just talking about displaying the video. That's what seems to be a little odd.
The first time she met Combs, she said he was in his underwear. And then the first day on the job, she said she didn't sleep because she was made to go to his house, to his recording studio, to an apartment. She also said that she worked sometimes 5 days in a row without sleep, and was made to do everything from anticipating his moves to cracking his knuckles to doing his taxes to standing there.
The moment Mia began recounting her experience in court, the atmosphere shifted. Her voice trembled as she introduced what she described as the darkest chapter of her time, working under Diddy, detailing an alleged rape that she claimed occurred behind closed doors. She described the lead-up as a calculated pattern of isolation, alleging that Diddy orchestrated environments where she felt coerced and powerless. On this particular night, Mia said she was summoned to his private quarters under the pretense of discussing an urgent work-related matter. What followed, she testified, was a nightmare she had buried deep for years. The courtroom fell silent, the tension palpable, as Mia began to unravel the details. According to her account, Diddy's demeanor that night was threatening, leaving no room for refusal. She recalled how every instinct told her to run, yet the overwhelming power imbalance left her frozen. As she described the alleged assault, some jurors shifted uncomfortably. Others took notes, their expressions grave. The prosecution didn't buffer her words with euphemisms. Instead, they let the raw truth of her testimony stand unvarnished, each detail painting a harrowing picture of fear, coercion, and total control. It was, according to Mia, not just a moment of violence, but a reflection of the dynamic that defined their professional relationship. In the gallery, reactions mirrored the weight of her words. One woman was seen wiping away tears. Diddy, meanwhile, sat stiffly, avoiding eye contact. Occasionally, he glanced toward his attorney, but mostly his gaze stayed fixed on the floor or a distant corner of the room. His composed exterior began to show signs of strain, his jaw clenched, his blinking quickened. Trauma experts often note how publicly recounting such experiences can be deeply re-traumatizing. Survivors must relive their worst moments and recount them in meticulous detail, all while under scrutiny. Mia seemed to understand this reality. Though her voice wavered at times, it grew steadier as she continued. The prosecution framed her, testimony as part of a broader pattern, arguing that the alleged assault was not an isolated event, but evidence of a systemic abuse of power. By amplifying Mia's voice, they aim to expose what they described as a long-standing culture of exploitation, hidden behind wealth, fame, and public image. One moment stood out above the rest. Mia broke down as she described how, after the A incident, Diddy acted as though nothing had happened. That casual disregard, she said, was its own form of violence, compounding the trauma by making her pain feel invisible. The courtroom sat in stillness for several long seconds after her words, a silence that felt heavier than any sound. Her testimony, however, did not end with her own story. She alluded to witnessing other disturbing events, particularly involving Cassie Ventura. As Mia hinted at the horrors she claimed to have seen, the prosecution prepared to widen their case, deepening the already growing sense of unease in the room.
I don't think so. I think that would be like the best appeal point ever on the side of the defense. I think the case gets overturned because you're violating the confrontation clause. You know, you're taking away Diddy's right to confront his accuser, especially because she's already given all of the testimony that was apparently positive for the prosecution, and then cutting her off before even one question could be asked by the, or maybe not one, but the full cross-examination be completed. I think it gets overturned.
What do you think the judge is going to do here? I mean, do you think the judge is first of all, can the judge order an investigation into this? And also, Tyler, do you think the judge is going to allow this piece of evidence in? If we're reading this correctly through the transcript, that this is a situation where she might be faking the way she's speaking on the stand, feels like relevant evidence for cross-examination, but at the same time, the way they're getting it and the issue of her identity being revealed, A, can the judge order some sort of investigation here? And B, you think he's going to allow this video in?
Well, it's probably 3 o'clock right now, or close to 2 o'clock. If I was the judge, which I'm not, I think this would be a good time to let's see what this video looks like. Let's see what the testimony would be given. What examination questions will be asked by the defense. Let's break for the day, and he'll make his ruling and start on Monday fresh, whether this video is going to be allowed in or not allowed in. I think that would be a good way for the court to explore, the potential pitfalls here, see how the defense is going to authenticate this video. Now, regarding any additional protections for Mia, I think that the court and the parties involved in this case have appeared to do everything possible to protect her identity. But the fact of the matter is, this is a high-profile case. People are watching this all across the country. And if you were to think that she would be on the stand giving facts about pictures with Cassie and being in South Africa, that people weren't looking on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, anywhere else on social media to try to put 2 and 2 together, that's hard to believe. So I'm not shocked that people have identified her, because I'm pretty sure people are on their phones right now trying to look into it. Yeah, they're not going to allow the video in. They're saying that there's been substantial social media posts already admitted into evidence showing that Mia has been in communications and contact with Mr. Combs, and that she said things like, "I love you, you're a mentor," and things of that nature. But it sounds like this video, the defense believes this is going to be some strong evidence. I'm pretty sure they're going to want their objections noted for the record, so this could be issued on appeal if this is highly prejudicial for Mr. Combs' case.
Well, Serena, it seems like they're saying we're using it for a different purpose. We're not trying to suggest, hey, she's making up the story because look at, positive posts she's making about Sean Combs. But no, this video shows she's not talking the same affect that she is on the stand. So it seems, if I'm understanding correctly, they're trying to use this video for a different kind of impeachment.
I totally agree with you, and I think, not to assume too many things, but to me, this feels like the judge saying, you know what, I'm just going to say it's cumulative because we got to keep this trial going. We have Mia on the stand who's probably falling apart. I'm not going to want to bring her back on Monday. Finish her testimony, get her off the stand. Let's keep this trial moving at the right pace. And I do agree with you. I think that the judge is just making that decision to make that decision. I don't think it's actually cumulative.
It's a great question. By the way, another update in court. Brian Steele, this is Sean Combs' defense counsel, one of them, can ask if she sent it Can I ask if she sent it? The judge says yes. I'm going to ask about scrapbooks. The prosecutor and I have a disagreement. I have 3 copies, one for the jurors to pass around. The honorable prosecutor and I disagree. So it looks like a separate question. Here's a great question from Michelle LaBelle. Tyler, how does the public know how she's acting in court, which is different than usual if they're not allowed in court? So that makes me think now, the only people to know how she's actually testifying and the way that she's speaking are those who are in the courtroom. Now, I'm not making any conspiracy theories here, but that's a good question, right? Why would this video be circulating? Unless of course, someone found out her identity from the outside, just was circulating the video, and defense counsel said, wait a minute. The way she's talking in this video is very different than the way she's talking on the stand. Or the more ominous conspiracy theory is that someone in the court who knew the way she was speaking starts circulating the video online. I mean, I don't want to be engaging in conspiracy theories here, but it's a great question from Michelle LaBelle, no?
Yeah, it's a great question, but one thing that Mr. Combs' defense lawyer just said is, can I ask her if she sent it? Now, if they're referencing the video that he wants to ask her if she sent it, they must know who she sent the video.
Mia's testimony took a darker turn as she recounted what she claimed to have witnessed between Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura during her time as his assistant. While the public viewed Diddy and Cassie as a glamorous power couple, Mia painted a starkly different picture, one of fear, control, and alleged abuse behind closed doors. According to Mia, Diddy's treatment of Cassie was marked by volatility. She described a relationship governed by control and punctuated by violent outbursts, creating an atmosphere of constant tension in their home. The contrast between their polished red carpet appearances and the private chaos she alleged was deeply unsettling. One of the most disturbing incidents Mia recalled involved a heated argument that escalated into physical violence. She testified that Diddy shoved Cassie against a wall during a confrontation over a seemingly trivial issue, a perceived slight at a dinner party. Despite her years of working closely with him, Mia said the intensity of his rage shocked her. She added that Cassie's body language in such moments often conveyed resignation, suggesting this wasn't an isolated occurrence, but part of a recurring pattern. Mia also described a broader pattern of control that extended beyond physical altercations. She claimed Diddy frequently demanded access to Cassie's phone, tracked her movements, and pressured her to sever ties with friends he saw as distractions. In one particularly chilling account, Mia said Cassie was systematically isolated from her support system under the pretense of prioritizing their relationship and Diddy's career. Experts on abusive relationships describe such tactics as classic signs of coercive control, where one partner systematically undermines the other's autonomy. Mia admitted that witnessing these events left her shaken and burdened with guilt. She explained that fear of losing her job had initially kept her silent, but the weight of that silence ultimately compelled her to come forward. She said she now felt a responsibility to speak not just for Cassie, but for others who may have experienced similar mistreatment under Diddy's influence. The most harrowing part of her testimony came when she described a night she claimed to have overheard screams from a locked room where Diddy and Cassie were arguing. Visibly distressed, Mia said, "No one should ever be spoken to, let alone treated like that." Her emotional account gripped the courtroom, and the prosecution used it to underscore a broader pattern of alleged abuse, one where power and control were central. As Mia spoke, the courtroom remained silent, the gallery frozen in tension. Diddy's expressionless demeanor stood in stark contrast to the emotional gravity of her words. While some details of Cassie's story had already reached the public, Mia's first-hand account added a chilling layer of credibility, suggesting the problem extended beyond personal relationships, perhaps even into powerful institutions like the LAPD.
They said random people earlier, they may not be trying to show their whole hand here. Mr. Combs knows Mia clearly, so he knows how she acted when she was with him versus how she's acting now. The defense has offices, they have a associates and other people who are on the outside who could be investigating, trying to collect evidence that could be used to help Mr. Combs in real time. Now, do I think somebody there is a plant who's a reporter or something helping the defense? No. But this is a high-profile case. She's testifying. To think that there aren't people on the outside who have interest in this case, whether as associates, employees of either side of this case, would be foolish.
Got a question from Maya. This is a question for you, Serena. Did Mia get exposed?
Yeah, it's possible. And again, it's very scary if so, because everyone's trying to protect this woman and she deserves that protection and privacy. But as we've been saying, it is still a somewhat public trial. There are going to be not only people in the courtroom, but online sleuths. I mean, even the court drawing, though her face is blurred out, we can tell her race, we can tell her hair color, we can tell her stature. And, you know, there are probably going to be people, maybe not in Diddy's inner circle, but maybe even in the second or third degree circle, who know who this woman is. And so to think that she has complete anonymity in today's day and age with, you know, online sleuthing and just the ability to find things out about people, it's just so easy today. So I do think that someone figured out who she was.
I'll get a question from Melissa Budas. This is for you, Tyler. Didn't the previous witness, the stylist of Deontay Nash, confirm a lot of Mia's testimony?
No, he confirmed a lot of her testimony, and everybody that the prosecution is calling as witness, their testimony is meant to build on each other. Think about the witnesses that led up to Kid Cudi testifying. Then you had Deontay Nash who testified a couple days ago, and now Mia who's testifying now. So the prosecution is not calling witnesses, and they're going to be surprised at what they say. They have an idea of what they're going to say, and they want to present this case methodically in a way they want. That's the whole point of planning the trial and presenting your case in a way
That's what Mia suggested during her emotional testimony in court, alleging that Sean Diddy Combs wielded such influence over the Los Angeles Police Department that he considered himself untouchable. Her claim sent a ripple of unease through the courtroom. According to Mia, Diddy often bragged about the protection his celebrity status afforded him, protection most people could never dream of. She testified that he spoke with confidence, even arrogance, about his connections in law enforcement. If a situation ever got out of hand, he would allegedly assure those around him that it could disappear with a single phone call. This accusation added yet another complex and troubling layer to an already explosive trial. Mia claimed that she had heard Diddy reference police departments in ways that hinted at unchecked power after particularly violent incidents or heated disputes. She said he would calm concerns by saying there was nothing to worry about, allegedly because his relationships in law enforcement would shield him from any fallout. One incident stood out during her testimony. Mia described a time when a neighbor threatened to call the police because of the noise coming from one of Diddy's parties. She claimed he dismissed the concern without hesitation, allegedly saying, "The LAPD won't touch me. They know who I am." Though that specific quote remains unverified outside of Mia's account, it struck a nerve in the courtroom. Jurors leaned forward, their expressions tightening as they jotted down notes. The moment forced everyone to consider the possibility that Diddy's influence might extend far beyond the walls of his home, possibly even into institutions meant to uphold justice. If her claims are true, the implications are chilling. Legal experts note that in cases involving powerful public figures, it's not uncommon for them to use their status to silence others. Even if there is no outright corruption, the perception of influence can discourage victims or witnesses from coming forward. The fear that their accusations won't be taken seriously, or worse, could backfire, becomes a powerful deterrent. That's what makes the prosecution's job so difficult. Influence like the kind Mia described is often subtle and undocumented. It exists in casual conversations, favors, and unwritten agreements, things that leave no paper trail. The defense could easily argue that Mia's claims are speculative, and that there's no concrete evidence his name could sway the actions of an entire police department. Yet, the jury appeared to take her words seriously. Mia went on to explain that Diddy's apparent belief in his own impunity emboldened his behavior, creating an environment where speaking up seemed not only risky, but pointless. Her most powerful statement came when she was asked how Diddy's alleged power influenced her decisions. After a long pause, Mia answered quietly, "I didn't think anyone would believe me, not against someone like him." The vulnerability of that moment hung heavy in the room. It underscored what's truly at stake in this trial. The idea that a man with vast wealth, fame, and connections may have used those tools not just to avoid consequences, but to perpetuate harm. The prosecution emphasized these claims as central to their case, hinting that more witnesses might come forward with similar accounts. Whether the jury ultimately views Diddy's power as simple celebrity privilege or something far more dangerous, an unchecked force that allowed alleged crimes to flourish, may determine the outcome of this landmark case.
I know that he definitely, that it was a overlap of testimony regarding trying to intervene when Sean Combs allegedly was attacking Cassie. One of the few times we've ever heard anybody do that, but that Mia tried to step in, he tried to step in, he mentioned Mia. Serena, we got a question here from Green Yoshi once again. Is there another color Yoshi? I gotta play Super Mario 3, I don't remember. All right, what is being done to protect the jury in terms of their identities post-trial?
That's a great question. A jury is, the people who are on this case might be nervous about something like that. Obviously, they were very well vetted. Questions were asked of them, and somehow they ended up on this jury as unbiased and willing participants, I guess. But there is always that fear that they're going to be found out. Sometimes people take advantage of that. They like to write about it, or they like to give interviews, but you don't have to. And it is a nerve-wracking thing if people find out who you are and you've been on this trial, because sometimes people are very upset at the eventual verdict.
One more question I'm going to throw to you, Tyler. This is from Enlin DK once again. If they're saying she's faking, meaning Mia, couldn't the same be said about Diddy? Where's the bling and ego?
Well, the bling is not on him. He's now a resident of the detention facility while he's pending trial. He hasn't taken the stand yet either to put himself up there and remind people that he is presumed innocent until he's found guilty by a jury. He does not have to present any evidence. It's up to the prosecution's job to present their case and get these criminal charges proved beyond a reasonable doubt. So if he does get on the stand, yes, they could say that Mr. Combs is acting. Now, there could be you could insinuate that the clothes that he's wearing, that people have described, they look somewhat like Bill Cosby as Mr. Huxtable, right, in the Cosby Show, versus the mere Sean Puffy Combs that people are used to. I can see that, but he's not on the stand here. He's sitting at the table as a defendant, trying to talk to his counsel about how they can discredit any witness that gets on the stand for the prosecution.
So, quick update from court. Judge, you can give it to them. Judge says you can give it to them for a couple of minutes. Bring Mia back in. Then the jury. The witness enters. Jury enters. Okay, Combs. Brian Steele asks, what is the Breakfast Club? Mia says, the name of our camp. Puff's friend group, still part.
Mia's explosive testimony has dramatically shifted the trajectory of the prosecution's case. Her detailed account of the alleged rape, claims of Diddy's influence over the LAPD, and revelations about Cassie's treatment have woven a compelling narrative, one that portrays Diddy as a man wielding unchecked power. But as the courtroom quiets, the focus now turns to what comes next. The defense is almost certainly preparing to dismantle Mia's credibility. A likely strategy will be to question her motives. Why speak out now, years after leaving Diddy's employment? They may argue her accusations are opportunistic, perhaps influenced by Cassie's recent lawsuit or the renewed media scrutiny around Diddy. Corroboration will be another battleground. The defense could highlight any lack of concrete evidence in her claims, painting her testimony as emotional but unverifiable. In many high-profile cases, this tactic, sowing seeds of doubt, has proved effective. Even the most gripping testimony can falter if the jury believes it lacks hard proof. Then there's Mia's former role as Diddy's assistant. For nearly a decade, she managed both personal and professional aspects of his life. The defense might use this proximity to suggest complicity or question why she remained in such an environment for so long. It's a risky move, one that could alienate jurors, but it's a common tactic in cases involving powerful figures and long-term employees. Still, it's clear the prosecution anticipated these challenges. Mia's testimony is more than a standalone account. It fits into a larger mosaic the prosecution is building. They're working to show a pattern, a consistent use of manipulation, intimidation, and abuse of power. By placing Mia's experiences alongside Cassie's and others, the prosecution aims to create a picture that's difficult to dismiss as mere coincidence. As legal analyst Sarah Clean noted, the more voices in the courtroom, the more each story starts to look like part of a bigger puzzle. Outside the courtroom, Mia's words have ignited a firestorm. Social media buzzed for hours after her testimony, with hashtags related to Diddy trending widely. Reactions ranged from support and outrage to deeper conversations about celebrity privilege and systemic silence in the entertainment industry. Public pressure may shape how this trial unfolds. With so many eyes watching, it becomes harder for the defense to cast these allegations as isolated or exaggerated. Inside the courtroom, the impact was palpable. Observers noted a marked change in Diddy's demeanor, visible fatigue replacing his usual composure. Meanwhile, the prosecution showed no signs of slowing down. They've hinted at more witnesses and evidence to come, escalating the pressure on the defense and intensifying public interest. Mia's testimony has done more than add another name to the list of accusers. It's raised urgent questions about how power operates, often unchecked and unnoticed, in industries built on influence and image. Her words challenge not just Diddy's legal team, but our collective understanding of justice, accountability, and the culture that allows abuse to flourish. As the trial continues, one thing is clear. This is more than a courtroom drama. It's a cultural reckoning. And with each new revelation, the stakes grow higher. Stay with us as we continue to follow this unfolding story. There's much more still to come.